reason we don't use miracles in science is because there's no way to test for a miracle. It is by definition a one-off event that violates natural law, and science deals with natural law. So if we're looking for natural explanations for natural phenomenon, an unnatural or supernatural or paranormal explanation by definition is out of the realm of science, and so it's not part of science. This is the problem with intelligent design theory, creationism. This lecture is not about that, but this part fits into it. In fact, I'll give you the entire 1-hour lecture on creationism in one slide. Here it is. All of their arguments go like this. X looks designed. I can't think of how X was designed naturally, therefore X was designed supernaturally. We call this the God of the gaps argument. Wherever there's a gap to be filled, where science can't explain something, that's where the miracle happened, or the paranormal phenomenon, or whatever. And so we have a serious gap in science education. That is, people often turn to these explanations because they simply don't know what the scientific explanation for X is. And in often cases, we do have perfectly good explanations. And so the brain is the seat of experience. Seeing is believing, but believing is seeing and hearing, tasting, smelling, touching. This is a map of, this is what the body looks like if you were a brain. That's where the most senses are. And we know that there is no such thing as mind. Mind is just a word we use to describe what the brain does. But it's just brain. It's just neural tissue. And we know because if you cut part of it out, the function that was there is gone. That's how we know there's no such thing as mental stuff floating around up there or out there. It's just neural tissue and nothing else. Nevertheless, it's a very powerful tool because you don't sense, the brain doesn't sense itself. So when the brain experiences something, it experiences it as out there, not in here. So near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences can be induced through oxygen deprivation to the cortex. We know this because pilots that are trained in a centrifuge where they're spun around until they pass out. This is part of training. So you learn to constrict the muscles in your neck to try to keep the blood from flowing out too fast so you don't pass out when you're pulling high Gs. The Navy pilots do this. This is an ambiguous figure. You can't see them both at the same time. You cannot text and drive at the same time. The brain is not designed to do that. You can only do one thing at a time. All right, so now the famous experiment with this is that if you show one group of subjects a stronger, younger woman image, and then you put this image up, they'll see the young woman. And if you show another group of subjects a stronger, older woman image, and then you put this, the neutral image up, they'll see the old woman. So this is called priming, cognitive priming, priming the brain to see the world in a certain way. This is how magicians operate. They prime you, they tell you. The whole pattern in a magic trick, the pattern, the run-up to it is to prime you to see the world in a certain way, and they trick you and do something different, and that's why it's fun. But that's how the brain works. So priming is what I want to talk about now for a minute. Again, what we try to do, our brains are evolved not to collect all the data in a scene. If you did that, the world would just be chaotic. You would not be able to function, especially socially. This is one of the things we think is going on with autistic savants like Rain Man. Rain Man type characters who can pretty much pick up every single detail in a scene. They have these like photographic memories. But they're socially inept because you can't possibly process that much data and operate in the world in a fairly efficient manner. And so that's why they can like memorize every fact in an encyclopedia, but they can't like hold it down a job, or they can't have a relationship with somebody. And the reason for that is that basically our brains are evolved to just pick out a few points in a scene, to grab the meaning of the scene, and then move on. Just sort of a quick read on a scene. As an example of this, Simons has put together these little flicker tasks in which something appears and disappears in the scene. You have to try to see if you can pick out what appears and disappears in the scene. And most of you will see the little bicycle there. Now, that's fairly obvious because it's fairly important to the scene. It's sort of centrally located. And so let's look at a second example of this. Again, what is the meaning of the scene? You only need basically 3 data points. It's a farm. How do you know? There's a bale of hay, a cow, and a barn. That's it, 3 data points. Whether that little thing is there or not is really not important to the meaning of the scene. This is why postmodern artists can draw a figure with 3 or 4 brush strokes. You know it's a human face, or it's a human body, or it's a particular animal. You don't need very many brush strokes for the brain to pick out what it thinks it's seeing.